Hi everyone. Here's a quick video for this week. We're beginning lesson 11, or hopefully you've already begun lesson 11 because it's Tuesday. But we'll be talking about charts and graphs. Good job, by the way, on exam 3 yesterday. Well, most everybody that did it did pretty well. There was a few people that didn't take it. That concerns me because exams are worth quite a bit. And there were a few people that scored below 75%. If that is you, don't worry, you can take it again. You just need to meet with the tutor and then let me know when you're ready, and I'll open it up for you to retake that exam. If you need to retake any of the previous exams, please everybody check your gradebook and make sure whether this applies to you or not. If you have a 0 on one of the previous exams and you took that exam, that signifies that you need to go meet with a tutor and then report back to me, not report back, but just tell me that you met with the tutor and I'll open that test for you to take it again. If you don't do that, then even though you took it previously, you will get a 0 for that test on the final grade. So it's very important that if you need to retake a test, please go do that. It's required. If you got 75 or above, it's not required, and I left your grade exactly how it was. Okay, so charts and graphs this week. Here is our activity calendar, just showing what activities we have and when they're due. Same few things due midweek, everything else is due the end of the week. No big surprises here except there's a portfolio assignment, which I'll talk about in just a minute, and it's due at the end of the week. Other than that, I hope you're still either still reading your book review or your financial book, or hopefully you've finished the book financial book by now. And I hope that everyone has at least started on the book review, the financial book review. It's due next week. So if you have not started on that, I would have hoped you'd started on it, at least a week ago. But if you haven't started on it yet, start now. Because if you wait till next week and you get pushed for time, and then the week will go by really fast and you're not going to have it to turn in. And we're getting really close to the end of the semester in the next few weeks. And so it's going to be time to kind of wrap things up, make sure that everything looks good in the gradebook, because once the grades are submitted at the end of the semester, and that's out of my control, they just pull straight out of the gradebook. So once that happens, there's nothing I can do to change the grade. So please make sure that your grades look correct. Quick reminder, I'm not going to read through it, but quick reminder, please make sure you're recording your attendance as well. Otherwise, it may end up significantly reducing your grade or automatically failing you from the course. And if you're attending, then you want to get credit for it. Okay, so nothing too special. I mean, there's the exercise, where is it? Exercise A, B, and C, and quiz A, all about charts and graphs. But what I wanted to go over is this portfolio assignment. So, actually, let me just start here. This is the grading rubric for the portfolio assignment. Okay, so what you should be doing is, it's actually number 21 from exercise 4, part C, and that is, almost closed it. Here it is. Number 21, create a realistic savings plan for yourself. Make a table of the growth of your savings for 20 years. Create a graph of the table and include it in your portfolio. So a couple things. One, it says a realistic plan. So for most of us, it's not realistic to say I'm going to put $20,000 a month in my savings account, because $20,000 is a lot of money. That's not a realistic savings plan. More realistic for many people might be putting 50, 100, a couple hundred. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you what you have to put, but please make it realistic. And the other thing is, 20 years. Okay, make sure that it has all 20 years, and include a graph and a table. Okay, so now let's just see what it should look like. Here's what it should look like in the end. Okay, so I have over here, I have a table that shows time that would be years, right? So this is 20 years, 1 through 20. The rate, and then N is the number of periods in that year, right? Okay, so hopefully you remember you've used this stuff already up to this point. And then you're also, let me just look back here real quick. It also said in the rubric, okay, so using an electronic spreadsheet and submit it as attached file. That's 5 points. You get 5 points for using a spreadsheet, which does not include a .numbers Mac file. You'll get 0 points for the assignment if you submit one of those. It also does not include a PDF. I won't grade that. It's going to be 0 points if it's a PDF. Please submit an electronic spreadsheet. So 20-year table, of growth using the spreadsheet's functions. Okay, so another 7 points is for having the 20-year table and using a PMT or future value. I would suggest using future value, but it's up to you. If you figure out a way to use one of those other ones, you want to use one of the other ones, that's fine. But I think future value is the one that's most relevant to this assignment, because we're figuring out, if we, given time and given our contributions to the savings account, how much is it going to be worth each year? And then eventually in 20 years, how much is it going to be worth? So we're looking for that future value. So I would use the future value, and I'll refresh your memory in a second how to use the future value function, just in case you've forgotten. Creates a graph from the table showing a single series, meaning only the yearly or monthly ending balance is tracked on the graph. I'll show you that as well. That means you should not be doing, I think a line graph would be most appropriate for this assignment. Pie graph doesn't really show us what we want to see. Bar graph, arguably maybe, but still kind of doesn't show us the right stuff. I think a line graph would definitely be the most appropriate for this assignment, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. That's another 7 points. So far you get 5 points for turning it in as a spreadsheet, 7 points for making the table and using a future value, 7 points for making a graph. The graph shows an increasing upward trend, okay, for the 20 years. It says here straight line, and indicates an error in the setup or incorrect use of the spreadsheet function. Okay, I'll show you what that's talking about as well in just a minute. There's another 4 points, and 2 points for using appropriate labels, making it organized, easy to read. Okay, don't just slap a bunch of numbers in a table and not label what they are, because then I don't know what I'm reading on your graph or on your table. Okay, so that's the rubric. This is exactly what I use when I go in to grade it. I'm going to look for, if it's a spreadsheet, I'm going to assign 5 points. If you did a 20-year table and you used a function properly, then there's 7 points. Okay, so you get the idea. I am going to look to see if it looks like a straight line, and if so, then I'll deduct partial points from here. Okay, so let me show you. You're all probably thinking, okay, let's just see what it's supposed to look like. So let me show you this with the graph. What it's talking about is if this line, do you see how it's kind of curving up like that, right? It's not straight. Here's what it would look like if it was a straight line and something like that. That's not perfect, but you can see how the blue one, the blue line there, is clearly, it's not like going like this or anything, but you can see how it's definitely not straight. Okay, that's what it's talking about when it says if there's a straight line. If it looks straight, just like this red one, then you should be thinking, wait a second, did I do something wrong? Because that's not how it's supposed to look. And And I'll say, I'll say something else about that in just a moment. Okay, so here I just copied over my information from this 20-year savings plan. In this plan, okay, I'm contributing $50 a month, right? Okay, here's my rate. So my rate, I said, is 1.5%, and that's my yearly rate. Okay, over here, this is my monthly rate. So it's my yearly rate divided by n. You can see C4, there we go. It's my yearly rate divided by the number of periods in the year. That gives me my rate per period. Okay, so my monthly rate. But anyway, so this is my yearly rate, and 1.5% interest, I think, is probably a fairly generous interest for a savings account. And it says to be realistic on this assignment. However, this is one area where you might need to fudge it a little bit, because let me show you how. So to make the graph, highlight that, go to highlight the amount. The amount is what we want to graph. Go to insert, go to insert line or area chart, and I would say do the line with markers. Okay. Now this is showing the amount over here on the y-axis and the years on the x-axis, so you can see at year 1, at year 2, at year 3, blah, 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 year 20. Okay, and then it grows in amount. Now if you look at this, you're like, wait a second, that looks like a straight line. That looks like maybe I did something wrong. Well, let me show you why I think you need to fudge the rate just a little bit. And I think a 6%, 6 to 8% rate would be appropriate. You can just put 6% if you want to. But let me just show you what I mean. I'm going to go 0.06, right? So that would be 6%. I'm going to change all of them, and watch what happens to my graph over there when I change these all. Oop, now it looks curved. I can, if I changed it even more, and this is fairly unrealistic, but if I go ahead and make it a 16% rate, then you can really see the curve, right? So I'd say make it 0.06, a 6% rate, and that should be good. You can see a curve there. It's a slight curve. It's somewhat realistic-ish still. Okay. So what questions did I not answer? So we're using a spreadsheet. We have our table here. We have the chart, and I showed you how to do it. I know it was kind of quick, but you can rewind this and look at it again and pause it if you need to. Okay. I'll remind you one more time about future value, how to use that. Okay. So there's what the equation looks like. It is F equals FV, open parentheses, and then underneath here it should tell you what it's asking for between each comma. So the first thing it wants is the rate. Okay, so you click on, but it wants the period rate, the rate per period. Okay, so that's why I had to calculate the rate per period here. This is the yearly rate. We don't want that one in this formula. We want the monthly rate, the period rate. Okay, so I just clicked on this, and then I said comma, and then the next thing it wants is the number of periods. Well, in each year there's 12 months, so 12 is the number of periods. So I clicked on that, comma. Next it wants payment, so I clicked on that, comma. And next it wanted the present value, and I said we're starting with adding $200 to it. Okay, and then it calculates it, and that's what it comes up with. Okay. If you have any troubles, please go ahead and email me or watch this again, and hopefully this has been helpful for you. Have a good week.